Welcome to Matters Financial and Geopolitical from a Frontier. Thank you for stopping by. Let me start with some macro thoughts. Trump trade becomes chump trade, says Holger. This bullish dollar bet sour. I think it's going down further. I don't think that key level of 99.50 is going to hold. And I think it's all about geopolitical and political risk associated with President Trump, and in particular with the developing Russia story. The world's best currency, the Azeri Manat in 2017, so far, the currency of the third biggest oil producer in the former Soviet Union, has bucked a 10% drop in the price of Brent crude since January, strengthening 13% in the period and beating gains for Georgia's lari and the Mexican peso. Fitch has downgraded Saudi Arabia by one notch to A+, citing rising deficits and doubts about implementation of the reforms. I think the oil price now is going to be the main signal, and it's not a positive one. It was great speaking to Julian Keane and Paul Hawkins on BBC Newsday this morning about AKIBA. Thank you. Joel Meyerowitz posted this photograph, Coca-Cola. It's sort of an old America that I think a lot of people still yearn for. And its power is in that fact that we know so many yearn for that. Stress to blame social media. Take a look at this. It's about people who check all the time, and I think I'm one of those. Good morning, Nairobi. Photograph from Kenya Pigs, and another one, high sunrise, hallelujah. Political reflections, at least a dozen injured near UK Parliament, and I think it's 4 or 5 people dead, it seems. I went to Westminster School, which is a very short distance from where this has all happened. I used to enjoy wandering around Parliament Square. In fact, I used to have the odd cigarette there as a way of getting off the grounds of the school. And therefore, I extend my deeper sympathies in this current situation. I'll put up a photograph of the Cloisters in Westminster Abbey. I used to wander down those cloisters every morning. And a photograph of Westminster School, Dean's Yard, which is where I spent a lot of time. I went back recently and took this photo. Now, a vehicle attack doesn't need special preparation. It's very low cost, and this is the key thing. And I wrote about this in March last year. Countries pay a heavy price for less costly terror attack. In the financial markets, there is a concept called tail risk. Tail risk is the risk of an asset or portfolio of assets moving more than 3 standard deviations from its current price. This is in March 2016. I was talking about how in January it took just 15 minutes on a Monday morning for South Africa's rand to plummet to 9%. More than a year ago, the Swiss franc surged almost 30% versus the euro after the central bank abandoned its currency floor against the shared currency. The examples are numerous. If the markets are a mirror, then they are certainly reflecting a new normal around volatility and tail risks. That volatility is very subdued at the moment and normally presages a problem. Ben Bernanke was asked why people hold gold, and he said as protection against what we call tail risks, really, really bad outcomes. Therefore, my first question is, how big is the tail risk in our world of more than 7 billion, let's say 0.5% of 7 billion people? That's 35 million people. Drop that to 0.05%, and you still have 3.5 million people. So my first point, the absolute number of folks who are prepared to cross the edge is actually a big absolute number. The edge, of course, was best described by Hunter S. Thompson. There is no honest way to explain it, because the only people who really know where it is are the ones who have gone over. Terrorists are waging asymmetric war. warfare. They cannot stand toe-to-toe with a conventional army because they would be annihilated. However, what they are doing is exploiting an asymmetric opening. And I was writing about the Brussels operation, which ironically happened just a year ago. And I asked, how much do you think the Brussels operation cost the terrorists? Not very much, I venture. How much do you think the reaction has cost Belgium? More than 100x. If you look at it all through a prism of a return on investment, one return profile looks like a go-go NASDAQ stock pre the crash. If we assume the pipeline of Byronic heroes is limitless, or 3.5 million at 0.05%, then we have to appreciate the terrorist strategies like a free option. And the state's ROI looks seriously out of whack. It's too expensive, it stalls the entire economy, and more of the state's resources are diverted into counter-terrorism. Greenpeace, do you think our environment should have the same legal rights as a human being? Yes, I do. And in fact, I think this is quite revolutionary thinking. Went back to Chico Marx's line from the 1993 classic, Duck Soup. Who you going to believe, me or your lying eyes? Now, according to a lawyer I follow on Twitter, RWP USA, the FBI is uncovering evidence of treason. There is no other word for it. I used different words. I copied Don DeLillo and I said we have a deviate tomahawk. The specialist is monitoring data on his mission console when a voice breaks in. And now from McClatchy is reporting that the FBI's Russian influence probe includes a look at Breitbart and InfoWars. Operatives for Russia appear to have strategically turned the computer commands known as bots to blitz social media with links to the pro-Trump stories at times when the billionaire businessman was on the defensive in his race against Hillary Clinton. That we know. This may be one of the most highly impactful information operations in the history of intelligence, said one former US intelligence official. Russia has again figured out from its old Soviet playbook that its greatest weapon in the world is information. Its information disinformation campaigns have skyrocketed. Kremlin's budget for public information had quadrupled this year as it mounted similar cyber attacks on behalf of right-wing candidates in France, Germany, and other European countries. Look, I said it in December. I have no doubt Putin ran a seriously 21st century, predominantly digital program of interference. Amplified the Trump candidacy. Trump was an ideal candidate for this kind of support. He's a linguistic warfare specialist, working in an environment of destabilized perception. Look at the names he gave his opponents: Crooked Hillary, Lying Ted, Little Marco, Low Energy Jeb. These were devastating and terminal. The first thing, however, is plausible deniability. And this is important, and it's sort of being stretched right now. The second thing is non-linearity. You have to learn how to navigate a linear system in a non-linear way. And Beppe Grillo, of course, said this is the deflagration of an epoch, the apocalypse of this information system, of the TVs, of the newspapers, of the intellectuals, the journalists. And I said, he's right. Traditional media has been disrupted, and the insurgents can broadcast live and over the top, from feeding the hothouse conspiracy frenzy online, constant state of destabilized perception, timely and judicious WikiLeaks leaks, which drained Hillary's bona fides and her turnout and motivated Trump's. What we have witnessed is something remarkable and noteworthy. I think the FBI can't deny it anymore. And I said then, Putin has proven himself an information master. and his adversaries are his information victims. Goldman Sachs' close connection to Trump could become a liability, some observers believe. And the irony of the whole Goldman Sachs story is that Goldman Sachs was used to bash Hillary on the head. But in fact, they completely reversed in and took over the administration. Today in Syria, Raqqa, a heli-borne assault on IS south and west of Taqwa city. I like this tweet. It's in Chinese, but it's a cartoon, and it's fairly obvious what that cartoon is. Japanese Navy boosts overseas force projection capability with second big helicopter carrier. The Kaga entered service on Wednesday, giving the nation's military greater ability to deploy beyond its shores as it pushes back against China's growing influence in Asia. Japanese ships can operate up to 9 helicopters each from their decks. They resemble the amphibious assault carriers used by US Marines, but lack their well deck for launching landing aircraft and other vessels. I put up a photograph of Japan's second big helicopter carrier, the Kaga. Remind you of what Prime Minister Shinzo Abe said at TCAD. He said, Japan bears the responsibility of fostering the confluence of the Pacific and the Indian Oceans. Ivanka Trump's influence at the White House continues to grow, says Newsweek. An empire built on Tao-Tinis and sea bass satay. If there's a venture with a projected shelf life of 5 minutes, it's a nightlife restaurant in New York's meatpacking district. The exception, Tao Downtown, since it opened in 2013 with heavy wooden doors that looked like they were airlifted in from an ancient Chinese fort. The temple to Pan-Asian style food and drinks has been a prime Manhattan destination for athletes, celebrities, businessmen and women waving corporate cards to out-of-town families. Look pretty good. UBS is introducing a charge on accounts with cash holdings of over €1 million, 60 basis points in point of fact. This charge reflects our costs resulting from the continuing extraordinarily low interest rates in the euro area and increased liquidity regulations. Clients who don't agree to the conditions will see their accounts closed. Let's move on to the currency markets, where we've seen plenty of action of late. Let me start with the euro, 107.88, dollar index 99.67, Japanese yen 111.22, yen's at a 4-month high, Swiss franc 0.9919, the pound 124.88. I'm bullish about the pound. Australian dollar 0.7631. India rupee 65.445, South Korean won 1121.23, the Rial 308.61, Egyptian pound 18.3007, South African rand is at 12.5275, up nearly 10% this year. Time to take profits. Euro versus the dollar, I think you buy the euro below 108 for a big move up to about 109.90. Gold 6-day winning streak is the biggest gain since Brexit, and obviously that's on heightened geopolitical worries. As I said on the 28th of November, I do not see WTI crude oil trading above $60 under any circumstances in 2017. WTI trades at a discount to Brent. Brent crude slipped below $50 for the first time since November. Oil tightens its noose around the currency market as the rout deepens as the correlation between currencies and the price of oil. December 2014, I wrote that US has emerged as the new price setter for the oil market. And take a look at this Permian crude oil output, just going up in a straight line practically. Iron ore takes a battering as a bear market engulfs China's futures. In Dalian, futures for September delivery lost 4.7%. Lowest close since January 9. Prices fell 15% on Tuesday as the most active contract rolled to September. and have now lost more than 20% from last month's closing high. Ore with 62% content fell to $84.99 a dry ton on Wednesday, trimming the gain this year, still up 7.8%. Benchmark peaked at $94.86 on February the 21st. Look at this. This is the Indian stock market. I call it the Narendra Modi effect. Laptop bans and Turkish Airlines' share price, it's not helpful. Coming to sub-Saharan Africa, waiting for happiness in Africa. This is the report about world happiness, which shows Africa as being pretty unhappy. Are the people in Africa really among the least happy in the world? And if African countries do have a happiness deficit, what are the prospects of Africa achieving happiness in the near future? It stands out as the unhappiest continent, being coloured almost entirely in shades of glaring red. If you want to see how Africa stacks up amongst themselves, take a look at this, which is from the same report via Kenya Wall Street. France warns against cuts to UN force in the Congo before voting. Countries heading towards elections and facing an upsurge in violence and deteriorating security. Francois Delattre told reporters that the Security Council shouldn't play with fire when it comes to such an important issue. But I think, President Trump is going to slash and burn. As democracy retreats, famine makes a comeback. David Pilling, the FT, but he's saying it wasn't strictly accurate. This was the worst famine since the Second World War. South African oil shares up 2.85% so far this year. Traders are betting on the first South African rate cut since 2012 after the current account deficit narrowed. Dollar versus rand, I think it's time to book some profits on the rand. Egyptian pound versus the dollar, backed up a little bit. Let's see how it behaves going forward. The Nigerian naira firmed 1.1% in the black market on Wednesday to a 6-month high of 430 per dollar. It was quoted at 307.50 on the interbank market. The regular intervention by the central bank has increased liquidity in the official market. The new policy has also eliminated spurious demand for the dollar. I like this little clip. Powerful guys from Wall Street plot how they will devalue the Nigerian currency. And the point to note is, it's not as if somebody's got to devalue it. When the market's out of sync, it's out of sync. Nigerian all share down 5.06% this year. Ghana Stock Exchange down a plus 11.69% this year. But the president's cabinet is not helpful. Mozambique sees capital gains of $350 million on the Exxon deal. But they missed a $119 million payment due on Tuesday on a loan Credit Suisse arranged. That is the second debt repayment the government failed to make. But I'm bullish about Mozambique. I think it's a temporary phenomenon, lack of cash flow, whereas you can look forward and see that there's going to be tremendous income coming in from the gas. Read the statement released by the Law Society of Tanzania and about the raid on a media company in Tanzania condoned by President Magufuli, saying the similarities with South Africa. Familiar election run-up in Kenya will keep young voters away. With barely 5 months to the next election, the phrase currently in vogue in the national discourse is voter apathy, coined after the poor turnout witnessed during the mass voter registration exercises in January and February. The IEBC had expected to register 6 million new voters. By the time the registration exercise closed in mid-February, only 2.6 million people had been registered. Many expect former Prime Minister Raila Odinga to be the flag bearer. If so, it would be Odinga's 4th attempt at the presidency and repeat the scenario 5 years ago. That's correct. Standard Chartered reported some fantastic results. Full year profit after tax up 42.679%. That's huge and a complete outlier. Loans and advances to customers grew 6.589%. Staff costs were up 15.33%. Profit before tax up 45%. Profit after tax up 42.67%. Earnings per share up 43.85%. Go and have a look at the results, but they are simply outstanding, the best results I've seen. And in August last year, I wrote about how Standard Chartered PLC shareholders might be thinking. I will have some of that Standard Chartered Kenya stock, and they should have heeded my advice. Kenya shilling 102.82. Nairobi all share down 4.17% this year, but at a 9.5 10-week high. NSE 20 down 4.68% this year, similarly at a 9.5-week high. Mumias gets another 240 million shilling state bailout. But really, they've got to look at that model, look at it very, very closely. I'm thoroughly grateful that you stopped by. Thank you.